From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Welcome back to another episode of Around Foxborough. Today we're recording a special edition of Town Election, and then we are here with Brent Ruter, who is running for school committee.
Mhm.
Hi, Brent. Thank you so much
Hello.
for coming.
Thank you so much for doing this. I think people are curious, and so it's wonderful to have more opportunities to reach folks in town.
Absolutely. So, Brent, please tell our audience your name and who you are, and why you're running for the school committee again.
Sure. Well, I'm Brent Ruter. I live at 46 Spring Street here in Foxborough, and I'm running for a re-election to a second 3-year term on Foxborough School Committee. Prior to joining the school committee in 2019, I spent a 3-year term on the town's advisory committee, AdCom, just getting a sense of all the town departments, budgets, policies that were important to the town and the various functionings of the town. While on AdCom, I was liaison. Basically, we have specialists on AdCom, develop them, as it were, to the DPW, schools, and police. And prior to that, when we first moved to town, I was really wanting to get involved, and so I attended a few school committee meetings. I watched the budget process unfold, and then I joined AdCom to learn a little bit more. So by the time I joined school committee, I had already had 3+ years of looking at the budget and policies and things of that nature. And the reason I ran the first time, and the reason I'm running again, is threefold. One, I'm a lifelong educator, and I love all aspects of education. Public school teacher for 20+ years. When I wasn't teaching in the public schools, I was working with educational nonprofits, many of them international, working on initiatives to equalize the number of girls and boys who go to school in various countries that have unfortunately still large gaps in those numbers. And before that, even before going to school, I was coaching and working at my church, but just mentoring. I love everything about education, and this is yet again another aspect. I spend my days as a public school teacher in Newton, Massachusetts, teaching grades 6, 7, and 8. I teach all 800 kids in our building every year. I teach engineering, so we get to build projects. I have the good fortune of having a wood shop attached to my classroom, so we're in both equal parts. Um, the other second reason is I love public policy. I went to graduate school for public policy. In every organization I've worked in every school district I've worked in, I've been in some form of the policy committee. So my master's is in public policy and policy development. I did the lion's share of a PhD in public policy. Decided, thankfully for my life, not to finish it, but I did go about 90% of the way through that. And then third is I love this community. I really do. Foxborough is our adopted home. My wife and I, who went to high school together, are from Minnesota, and our biological family's out there, and our adopted family is out here in Foxborough. And as soon as we moved to town in 2015, as I alluded to earlier, I wanted to get involved right away, and I want to stay involved. So, win, lose, or draw in this election, I think we're not allowed to draw, unfortunately. But I'll still stay involved with the town in some form because I like helping and serving.
So tell us about the past 3 years of experience in the committee. What
Yeah.
are the challenges? What are the joy? If you can tell us.
Yeah. Well, there were some challenges that we hadn't foreseen owing to the pandemic. But starting at the beginning. The group of folks that I had the pleasure of serving on the advisory committee with were hardcore question askers, and that's kind of the role of the advisory committee. And both Mr. Canfield and myself were on the AdCom together, as was current committee member Michelle Raymond. And the tradition of that committee was to really dig, ask a lot of questions. Rolling over to the school committee, fortunately for me in 2019, that continued. And so we started with asking a lot of questions about policy, about the budget, about processes, and I would say both Mr. Canfield and I were pleasantly surprised and frankly delighted that the administrative team in the district met those questions with curiosity, open minds, and a sense of, yeah, let's research this together. Let's bake these things into our strategic goals and start the process of getting more information about these things. And that was so amazing. There was no defensiveness, and so that was a wonderful welcome as we joined the committee. And then the COVID pandemic hit, and like all places everywhere, we were scrambling to do our best to mitigate, to blunt the inevitable negative impacts that were going to befall us and all of our kids. And I believe through a lot of hard work, uh, mostly from teachers on up the line and parents, that we were able to at least blunt the negative impacts of the pandemic that so many places felt. It certainly hit our community hard. It certainly hit our kids and our parents hard. But I do believe we fared better than most. As my wife famously says, there was no winning. In that initial part of the pandemic, there's just no winning. The best you can do is to protect people as best you can. And then now coming out of the pandemic, thankfully, the whole crux of this year, everything's on our strategic goals, and that's what we evaluate the superintendent on, has hinged on assessing where the kids are academically, socially, emotionally, so all of those facets, and getting kids the services they need, and that takes time. But that was goal and job 1 through 10 on the list. And now, what I'm looking forward to moving ahead, should I get the opportunity to serve for another 3-year term, is frankly continuing the goals that we push so hard to get baked into the school's strategic plan, which are, in short, ensuring that every kid in the district can have their academic, social, emotional needs met, that they feel comfortable at school, and that they're learning everything that the state needs them to learn, everything their families want them to learn, everything that they want to learn, and that they can find their own voice through that. And I can go into more detail, but those are what I'm looking forward to.
Brent, thank you so much for sharing your opinion and your background and then love for this community. And then
It's large.
sharing your knowledge, not only your educational background, but policy making background. Now, what are the hopes for different policies that you might be able to tackle to leverage our school system in Foxborough that if you were to serve another 3 years?
Thank you. Some of the things that I'll speak about were in the beginnings in 2019, and some that I'll speak of are just looking forward beyond that. The things that were just starting to bud, that I think the current slate on the school committee really added form to and teeth to, along in partnership with assistant superintendent, business manager, the upper administration, that we gave a lot of more form to, was the notion of meeting all kids where they're at and honoring kids for what they have to bring them to the next level. And that basically means, in terms of policy wise, instituting something called MTSS, which is multi-tiered system of support. And that's edu jargon for the following concept, which the concept's really easy to understand, which is you assess where a kid is, what do they need, and you get it for them. It's very individualized. You get it for them, and you don't separate them because of that. There was a long unfortunate tradition in education of when kids needed special services or a different approach. They take you out of the classroom, they take you out of the community, and kind of put you over there. And what we find, and what I found in my own experience as a teacher, is they do better if they stay with their peers, and you just teach them a little bit differently. And that works. And instituting that takes years, but the district and the school committee are, hand in hand in trying to steer that ship in a way that all kids can get the services that they need, and done so with kindness and openness. In terms of other initiatives that I want to see more of, um, I'm excited for the next 10 years in education, frankly, from a school committee and policy side, and also as an educator, also as a parent side, for the following reasons. We are going to continue looking at how we grade and evaluate kids, and how they show what they know. Because in most of our jobs, we don't sit down and take a 100-point test and then get our paycheck based on that. It's just not how the world works. Frankly, never has. And as schools continue to evolve to hopefully match what society is and society needs moving forward, the district will be looking at that very closely. And the third facet is, as I alluded to earlier, I'm a very hands-on educator, very hands-on learner, and seeing ever more of that as opportunities for our kids at all levels is very important to me. There was a town forum last night. There was a lot of, I thought, heartening discussion about the need and the embracing for presenting students with multiple pathways to success, meaning it's not just you have to go to a 4-year college in these tiers from the ages of 18 to 22, and then do this and then do this. It's not a solid path. That we want to give kids views of many possible futures, whether that's in the trades, whether that's in a lab, whether that's in working out of their home, whether that's just being a solid citizen in their community. And I'm excited that I believe the district is doing that now, but the world keeps changing so fast that you got to keep up. So I'm excited to help the district tailor that response.
Well, great. Brent, thank you so much for coming to our show. It was a short interview, but it was great opportunity for our audience to know who you are and then what is your passion and then what you want to change in our community and improve our school system. And we really appreciate your service so far, the 3 years, and then the next term. Wish you the best luck at the town election on May 2nd.
Thank you so much, and thank you to you, jury, and for FCA for doing this. This is a great resource for the community. I really hope all the candidates avail themselves of this opportunity. Thank you.
Absolutely. But before you go, do you
Yep.
have any last word for our audience and then people who are deciding to vote?
Yeah, I do. It's hard. Everything we do is public. Anybody can go to the meetings. Anybody can access the budget. Anybody can access any letter that's ever been written to the school committee ever. But that's kind of hard, right? We're living our lives, parenting our children, working our jobs. But I really wholeheartedly encourage anybody who just has a question or a concern to just reach out to me directly. I know the other committee members feel this way, but I can't speak for them. But reach out to me directly. My email is brentruter@gmail.com. My cell phone number is 774-469-0660. I'm on Facebook, and you can find me and reach me. And I promise you, I'll talk to you. So thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into Around Foxborough special version for town election. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.